This was by far the entire roster overhaul of a lifetime, bro. I mean, this roster was completely flipped on side of itself, reversed, let go, ring around a rosy, kicked in a butt, and wow, we are here.
This was by far the entire roster overhaul of a lifetime, bro. I mean, this roster was completely flipped on side of himself, reverse, let go, ring around a rosy, kicked in a butt, and bow, we are here now, guys. Can you believe what the Fever just did? They completely gutted their roster since opening night, replacing 66% of their entire team. What could possibly drive a franchise to make such a dramatic overhaul? Only 5 players survived this transformation. Are we witnessing the birth of a new WNBA powerhouse? I'm going to show you exactly who got cut, who replaced them, and why this might be the boldest move in WNBA history. The craziest part, these strategic replacements might actually turn the Fever from basement dwellers into instant contenders right before our eyes. The ring was on the wall for a bunch of these ladies on the roster, bro. We just got to keep it real. If we wanted to look forward and goes full steam ahead, we had to cut off some loose ends, and that was the verdict of this roster, bro. This is a complete team demolition. The Fever front office just took a wrecking ball to their roster in one of the most dramatic overhauls we've ever seen in the WNBA. When the dust settled, the Fever had removed a staggering 66% of their entire opening night roster. Only 5 players survived this massive purge, like a general contractor demolishing outdated structures to make way for a modern rebuild. That viral image making rounds on Twitter tells the whole story. The Fever's team photo, with the faces of cut players completely blurred out, creating an eerie visual of a basketball version of abandoned property. Those blurred faces represent careers redirected, lockers emptied, and a team completely reimagined almost overnight. So as y'all can see right here, this image is floating around the internet. This is the old basketball team. This was the Team F right from last year. And as y'all can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that is gone, bro. That is gone from this roster, dog. And my goodness, the casualties of this roster demolition include serious talent. Melissa Smith gone, Katie L. Sampson cut, Christy Wallace, Celeste Taylor, Erica Wheeler, Grace Berger, all of them shown the door. These weren't just end-of-bench players, these were contributors. Some of them key pieces that fans thought would be part of the team's future. What's wild is that this extreme makeover extends beyond the Fever. Look around the league, and you'll see similar patterns. The New York Liberty only kept 2 players from their opening night ride roster. The Phoenix Mercury, same story, just 2 survivors. And if you think that's extreme, check out the Connecticut Sun, who have only 1 player remaining from their opening day lineup. So the Fever have got 4 players remaining. Cause Tiss was injured. The Mercury have got 1 too, well the MC got 2. Oh my god, this is an entirely new team. Here's the thing, when you look closer, what we're witnessing is calculated demolition. You know, you got to be the person to tell the people the bad news. I'm sorry, you really didn't make the team. That's what Amber Cox and Kelly had to do for a lot of these ladies. They had to be the bad guys, and they had to say, you know what, we're sorry, but you didn't make the cut, bro. I'm sorry, bro. We're going to move in a new direction. That is the business part of it. That's why they got to make the big bus. I'm talking about the Fever front office. Did you get that? The Fever front office, led by Coach Stephanie White and GM Amber Cox, clearly had a specific vision. They weren't interested in gradual improvement. They wanted a completely new team identity built from the ground up to maximize Clark's unique talents. Amber Cox and Kelly need to be getting paid quite substantially well, because they had to flip the whole damn roster. Y'all realize what they just did? BR, like they had to literally befriend some people. Possibly think about it. If you have a once-in-a-generation talent like Clark, don't you want to surround her with the perfect complementary pieces? The Fever weren't satisfied with good enough or developing potential. They wanted immediate upgrades that could transform this roster from lottery team to serious contender. I mean, we all should be happy right now, because I'm willing to take all of the replacements over any one of these ladies. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like they just didn't have it. Like y'all ain't got it, bro. The Fever weren't just cutting players randomly. They were protecting their core foundation at all costs. When the dust settled, just 4 players remained standing. What did these survivors have that everyone else lacked? The chemistry between 2 of them might be the biggest clue to Indiana's entire strategy. So of the 12 players on the score sheet for opening night, there are 4 remaining. Kelsey Mitchell's survival reveals everything about the Fever's master plan. After the Olympic break, Mitchell became absolutely essential to the team's success, averaging over 17 points per game during their playoff push. Mitchell displayed remarkable chemistry with Caitlin Clark when these two shared the court. Basketball poetry unfolded before our eyes, the kind of partnership that could define this franchise for years. Could you imagine the backlash if the Fever had cut Mitchell? This would have been basketball malpractice. Her scoring ability combined with her willingness to adapt alongside Clark made her untouchable in management's eyes. Mitchell wasn't just retained, she was protected as a cornerstone of their new identity. ELIETE Boston, the first overall pick from 2023, secured her spot from the start. Boston's value goes beyond her current production. She hasn't even hit her ceiling yet. The front office clearly believes she can develop into an all-star caliber center, providing the dominant inside presence that perfectly balances Clark's perimeter brilliance. Pre-Olympic break, Lexi Lee was getting DNPs. Now here's where things get really interesting. Lexi Hull on paper cutting Hull seemed like the obvious move. Her stats didn't jump off the page, and many fans were surprised when she survived the roster apocalypse. Why keep her? Because Coach White and GM Cox saw what happens when the cameras aren't focused on the ball. Hull brings defensive intensity and handles all those unglamorous tasks championship teams need: setting screens, diving for loose balls, making the extra rotation on defense. Contributions that don't make highlight reels, but prove exactly what the Fever needed in their supporting cast. Saxon kind of made sense. They had R and Lissa Smith, just you kind of had to get rid of her, didn't you? The Fever's approach prioritized fit over raw numbers. Coach Stephanie White and GM Amber Cox weren't just asking who are our best players, they asked who fits the mentality and play style we need around Caitlin Clark. They sought players who could thrive in an up-tempo system, who possessed high basketball IQs, and who understood their roles without needing the spotlight. These 5 survivors form carefully selected pieces of a basketball puzzle. Each brings something unique that fits perfectly into the identity the Fever are building, creating a team where everyone knows their role and braces it within a carefully constructed basketball ecosystem designed to maximize collective strengths. No redundancies, no square pegs and round holes, just a foundation built to last. So yeah, it's a completely new team. And if you're looking at the team is so much better. That carefully constructed ecosystem was just the foundation. Now it was time to add the championship caliber pieces. Can a team really improve by replacing 66% of its roster? The Fever's position by position upgrades are so dramatic that what looked like chaos to fans might actually have been the most strategic rebuild the WNBA has seen in years. If you look at the roster, Kelsey Mitchell is still Kelsey Mitchell. Natasha Howard versus Nalissa Smith. Natasha Howard's so much better. Let's start with what might be the most impactful addition, Natasha Howard. Howard brings 3 championship rings to Indianapolis, along with a Defensive Player of the Year award. Her ability to stretch the floor as a big while providing elite rim protection is exactly what the Fever needed. We're talking about someone who averaged 4.6, 8 rebounds and over a block per game last season. A massive talent upgrade that transforms the front court, like adding the perfect cornerstone to a foundation. Sophie Cunningham versus Katie L. Samuelson. Sophie Cunningham is a lot better than Katie L. Then there's Sophie Cunningham, a player who embraces the big moment with her fearless 39% three-point shooting. This accuracy becomes crucial when teams collapse on Clark, but it's Cunningham's toughness that might be even more valuable. She brings in edge this team was clearly missing, functioning like sandpaper that smooths out the rough edges while getting under opponents' skin. Replace Nalissa Smith and replace Christy Wallace. That's all. It's all that it looked like they were doing, and it was it really was a good one. Diana Boner might be the masterstroke of the entire roster rebuild. The Fever acquired a 4-time All-Star who still averaged 17.4 points and 5.6 rebounds last season at age 36, but the stats don't tell the whole story. Boner creates her own shot in clutch moments, and with 2 WNBA championships, her leadership changes the locker room dynamic. The final puzzle piece that completes the championship picture. Have you noticed the pattern? Every addition addresses a specific weakness. When teams would blitz Clark, the Fever struggled to make them pay. Now they've surrounded her with proven shooters who will punish over committing defenses when they needed crucial stops. They lacked defensive anchors who could lock down one-on-one. Howard and Boner bring that exact skill set, but either way, it's finding those right fits around a point guard like her is going to make us